Right, that's good.
Right, well then I will call the street committee more than 4 o'clock. Okay, right on time. There is no items on the agenda for the streets committee. Does anybody have anything they'd like to talk about? Add, share?
Sir.
Anything else?
Gotta be a street thing going on right there. Hey, how about, has anybody heard about the 4th of July parade thing? I know we talked about the formality of it, but somebody, one point it said, oh, it's gonna be brought up at the council meeting, so. I guess there's still time. It's middle of May but I mean, wasn't that gonna be a request from somebody to?
Or submit a letter to the ordinance committee.
She did, Sarah.
I didn't get one.
I'll double check with her. He's got some stuff going on.
Okay, sounds good. No
Is
worries.
there any public comment for the streets committee? All right, and we are going to adjourn the meeting at 4:02 p.m. Yeah, beat that mic.
Oh, here it says FUPR, 4 o'clock. We should switch our reports some night. Yeah.
I really like mine.
I don't know. I can't get it off the 4 o'clock thing. Okay. Well, let's call this one to FUPR to order. 4:02. I can just go in order there, Mayor. We'll start with Makoshika Wellness, profit and loss. And that's what this thing is here, I take it.
Yeah, it's this handout. And then if we have questions, Dara is here to answer questions or to give input about what their concern is and what they're requesting from us. So I'll give you a minute to look that over. So when I look at this soccer program, it says 10% of the final profits at the end of the season will be put in an endowment fund. So when we're looking at the total program profit, which looks like $11,598, so 10% of that would only be like $1,500, right? Okay. I just want to make sure that I had that right.
Are there any other programs that will be summer through the Makoshika Wellness? Like
Tennis, I think.
right,
Yeah,
tennis.
that's that's not on here, I don't think.
Yeah, it is. It's
Oh,
at the bottom there and then on
Oh,
the page.
okay.
We have a couple of grants, so.
Yeah, see to be determined. Okay. Rick, do you foresee that the school will start charging for the gym usage in the future? Or do you have a inkling of that, or how would we know what might happen there?
Yeah, they eventually will. Now there's a new board member sworn in Monday night.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
it ended up being about half the board is basically, so.
Hmm.
So it'll be up to them, but the plan has always been, that they will start.
Okay. Discussion or
Well,
questions?
We can ask questions.
Yes, go ahead. I think
My
Carrie.
question. Claire,
No,
I see that you've applied for quite a few grants and been denied and whatnot, but have you guys looked into other avenues of fundraising? Like my kids, I've got 5 kids. They've all been at about 3 sports a year, and they sell raffle tickets like crazy, like 3-4 books minimum. And it generates quite a bit of money for the programs, you know. Just saying that that's like the easiest thing, money, guys, whatever.
we currently have a raffle going on right now for a motorcycle, actually. So that
I
one.
mean, like every program. That's just-
So I hear that absolutely, and we're a volunteer board. We don't necessarily have parents, children to go out and do these things. So the expectation is then on Sarah for the 8 board members to go out and do that for every single program. And
I mean,
but if you're
players.
you sign here, yeah.
200 people. So it's all. Grab that. Sit down anywhere, you know, got stuff. Obviously, we're not gonna. Stuff.
Yes, absolutely. And I feel like we've definitely heard a lot of them go out, get more sponsorships, do some fundraising, apply for grants, and we do all those things for the different events that we are currently doing. And to continue to put that pressure on businesses, parents, individuals to fund things that were previously funded by the city, feels a bit of an ask for the community when, like you said, you have multiple kids doing raffles for all these different things. So there's so many asks out there for our community.
And what are you seeking?
Truly just to cover the deficit we likely foresee with these, right now with the current programming, we see a $6,000 deficit. And as Rex said, we would likely see charges for the gym. So that'd be an additional 4,000. So we'd be asking for 10,000.
And that's gonna get you how far though?
That'll get us through this year.
And then what is your plan moving forward?
The intention would be to use the profits from the programming moving forward to be able to maintain them. We've already increased the prices on every program that we have taken on. So we can't necessarily continue to increase those every year. A conversation we also had when Sarah and I met with Deb and Rob was there was the ability to apply for a mill. I don't know if that went anywhere, because if that's an option, then we don't necessarily need anything from like a general fund per se. But that is another option that we have discussed. I'm not sure where that one.
I would, yeah, go ahead, John.
I did check. The way they said it would have to work, it would have to be open to anyone in the community who wanted to, it would be structured like a grant. And you would have to apply for the grant. Anyone would be open to anyone in the community who wanted to do it. But that's how it have to be if we wanted to go for that. I think that avenue is actually raising a separate village for that. So I had a question on the calculations.
Sure.
So I think maybe I'm looking at the second page, total of all program profits. I think that might be, the loss might be overstated a little bit because you're taking all of the program profits of $5,000, which already takes into account all of the expenses on the first page. And then you're adding up all the expenses again, plus your payroll below that to come up with the 6,200 shortage. So when I calculated, I come up with a $2,900 shortage overall. Plus the 4,000. So, or 4,400. So then you're looking at like a 73.
But that doesn't include soccer.
No, that's just 16. Yeah. With some numbers.
Oh, but at least I was a little confused about the soccer, so, the soccer program has its own board.
Yes.
And so they are just using the nonprofit umbrella of Makoshika Wellness. They're not actually operating their program under there. So, at the end, what the soccer people are doing is taking, after all their expenses are over, then they're taking 10% of the profits and putting them in an endowment fund, but that will probably only be about $1,500. So that program profit at the end of the soccer will stay with the soccer group, if you know what I mean. Because I was confused about that too when I saw, well, what about soccer? This is your saving grace, but no, it doesn't. That's not how it's set up.
Mayor oh, there's another page here. Is that where soccer is? Okay.
Yeah, it's on
Okay.
that.
Okay. Just overall, can you put a little structure here for me on what happened here? We basically had recreation department programs, turned them over to volunteer groups, Makoshika Wellness, etc. What was the conversation at the time in terms of what the responsibilities are? In other words, it seems like the city's getting the bill here now. And was that the intent of what we entered into or agreed to? Or it was just kind of, I'm not clear about where we came from to get to this point. And it kind of matters. It seems like what's going on is there's a request for 10 to 11 and a half to, I'm not sure what John said, maybe 5,000 to backfill for this year. And then obviously that much or more possibly for next year in the budget. So where are we at with recreation? I'm a little,
Well,
how's it fit in?
well,
to
Mike,
yeah.
when we had the council meeting and both recreation people resigned without notice. So then we decided, well, it took a little time, a few days, but to make a long story short, we just didn't have the money to do this. The city didn't make any money on rec programs. We never have. And it was a service. And of course, with the way that the budget was, we just couldn't afford it. We had to cut non-essential services. So we had talked and said, maybe, other people will step up or want to do this. And I had mentioned maybe Makoshika Wellness would be interested. And I did reach out to Wade Murphy for the basketball. And so as we were cleaning out the church, we just hauled everything basically down to Makoshika Wellness that we thought that they would want. I mean, it was kind of an agreement that they would take it. We didn't make any commitment to keep it going. We were glad that the citizens weren't going to lose the programs, but the city was getting out of it. So we didn't make any commitment that we would help them. And of course, Sarah didn't ask for help because she was stepping into it, not knowing how it was going to work. So I know that when we were finishing up the soccer, I was saying, well, if you're hired already as a soccer referee or painting the fields or whatever, we'll pay you. But anybody else that we need is going to need to volunteer, because I didn't know how it was all going to shake out in the end. So that's kind of where we were last year. And then I think that maybe Sarah or someone reached out to John first, or maybe they reached out to Ryan. I'm not sure. But so we had a meeting almost a month ago with Sarah Plummer and with Dara Dinas. She's the president of the board of Makoshika Wellness. And so they came to us seeing if, if we could raise a mill, or Sarah had another idea about what they're doing in Billings. That seemed like that would be a little bit out of our scope, but we're just bringing it forward here because they came forward to ask for help to keep these things going. If we have to, do something different or raise rates or get sponsors or, talk to the banks and talk to WBI and talk to all these other businesses that are always hit up, but that they always do come through, that might be an option too. But I am a little hesitant about starting to give money, which is taxpayer money, to nonprofit groups, because I feel like if people in the community want to give money to Makoshika Wellness, they can do that on their own. I don't think we should be taking their tax money and giving it away. But that's my thought. I've been thinking about this. I don't know. I'm not sure what the solution is. I don't have one. But bringing it forward here. And then if we want to take it forward to the council, we can. If you have questions for Dara, she's very informed and she seems to have the answers for the questions that I had for her.
Yeah,
So-
one thing, on the one hand, it's great that they have the programs. Yeah. He's wondering what I'm doing. But on the other hand, then, there's a lot of baseball teams.
I know.
They're all self-funded, so to speak. They have to pay water bills that over the years, and Mr. Coon's been here, I believe, the summers and the water rates, and hey, man, you guys, can you help us out, pay our water bill, the city? And it's like, well, so once you start doing things, then you end up. And the other thing is, if we take control, then financially, then also there's a whole bunch of these things in these programs where we're going to say, well, no, but we're not running those programs now.
Right.
And I don't think we want to, but so you see what I'm getting at. When you start putting the money in, then you are accountable for how all the money's being spent. Not that it's misspent or any type of misuse. It's just, and businesses and stuff, I assume, are sponsors, where it talks about team sponsors. right? I don't know, when I played on teams, we didn't throw in individual money. There was some business that had their names on the shirts and so on and so forth. So, I mean, they're already getting hit in that sense, which is good of them to keep the programs going. You know, if the city and the schools used to have agreements worked out, they got to use this, we got to use that. And then that brought the facilities down to a better cost. I'm not sure that's actually feasible anymore. Because some of the things we traded, the city doesn't have to trade with them anymore. Like, you know, you got your school PE program can use the pool, and the city pays for the heat and all the stuff to keep the pool open, pays for the garden, all that. You know, referees and all that are important. I'm a referee and all that, but it's like, as a city, then we're like as you mentioned earlier, volunteers. So, and so it's kind of like, here's your program, guys. Here's how far you're behind, or girls, or whoever you are. I'm talking adults. With kids, maybe we can, but with a lot of adult programs, like, figure it out. You guys got to get less red there. And you should decide, you guys that are in the program, you can always they can always raise the rates, but then there'll be complaints. Well, then now you took away service and you're raising the rates, but those are things, like I say, we seem to be out of that now. So,
Well, that was our plan, to be out of it.
Yeah.
And to not be involved anymore, because we can't afford it. We couldn't afford it. We had to get out of it. But, you know, my grandkids used to be on the swim team, and I see how much you have to pay when your kids are on the swim team.
A lot.
You do. You pay, and you have to pay for the travel, and you got to buy a swim pass, and it's $150.
You have to buy their swimsuits. You have to buy their goggles. You have to buy everything, and you're traveling. Swim team doesn't pay for the travel. If you are going, I spent a small fortune every summer taking my kids all over, and that's what you do for travel baseball. That's what you do
Well,
for
it's all
baseball
yes.
locally. I mean, not even just the travel team. Like, you put your kids in sports, and you are going to expect that the cost is high. And it sucks to say that, because we live in a low income community, and so we want our, you know, every kid to be able to participate, and so we want to keep costs low. But there's other ways to keep costs low. And there's sponsorships. Yes, I know we live in a small community and our businesses get hit up a lot. They really do. I owned 2 small businesses and I got hit up constantly. But I figured out with my 2 small businesses how to make it work to do those sponsorships. Because it was important to have my business name out there. It was important to me as a parent with kids in all of these programs, and it was important as a business owner to have my name out there as well. And it was important as a community member to support my community as much as I could as a business owner. So as much as our businesses get hit up a lot, they make it work. They're fantastic. We have amazing people in this community that step up and help. It sucks that it's this far in the red year 1. It's a little less, I think, with John's math. So my feeling was that when we closed the rec department, when we as a council made that decision, that we were saying we cannot afford to help support these programs. Hopefully the community will step up and do that, and people did, and that's where it needs to stay. Is that the community needs to run the programs.
Yeah, I'd agree. As far as just cutting a check, I'm kind of very, very hesitant to do that. I think if moving forward, if you come up with some fundraising, I certainly myself would be willing to help you out with that.
Definitely.
But I don't want to set dangerous precedent here where we didn't have the money to run it. We didn't have the money to continue doing the things that we were doing.
And everybody's made great points. And the one thing that I just wanted to say, we're still in I believe, we're still in the same fiscal year even.
Yes.
Yeah.
That we ended the program. And we ended the program because we didn't have the money. And we still have a budget that we are making that turn, but we still do not have extra pennies and nickels laying around. So I mean, if the city in 5 years is built back up and more flush and we're paving all the streets we need to pave and we're doing everything else and
Maybe we can be a business sponsor.
yeah, but right now, I mean, like I say, this is still the same fiscal year, why we had to make the decision to cut programs in the first place. So this year especially, I don't see that we have the cash over to.
We don't. And when I'm looking at like the basketball and it's $350 per team, so I'm guessing that the participants are paying that, but I feel like, you could still get money from the participants and get a sponsor for $350. Or for the volleyball, which is $200 a team. And I just feel that, yes, the businesses are hit, but it's a tax deduction, it's a donation. So they have business reasons for sponsoring teams, and I do think that they would. So I guess.
And every adult team that I've ever been on too, it wasn't the programming's responsibility to get your sponsorship. If you wanted a sponsor and you didn't want to pay the $350 by yourself with your team, you had to go out and get your sponsor. So that took, weight off of the board of those programs as well.
Especially the adult programs
Yeah,
where
adults can
I
go-
think they
go
could
get your
be more
sponsor.
involved.
I would think they do have sponsors though. Every time I was involved, they have sponsors.
You do have sponsors there? Do you have sponsors already for any of the adult programs?
No,
No.
I actually really like the idea of having
The team.
The team do it.
Yeah. Especially with it's harder with the kid programming to do this, but go to your local favorite bar and say wagon wheel, beer jug, because you can have those sponsorships on the adult programs. You can't do that necessarily with the kids programs. Most parents don't like seeing beer jug written on their kids. I do. I think it's fine, but a lot of people don't. So it's easier, I think, for adults to go out and get those sponsorships for their teams. I mean, my sister's doing it right now for her co-ed softball team in Missoula. Their team actually has 3 sponsors because they have a competition. It's not just you have to get a sponsorship for the $300, the $350 registration fee for your team. It's if you can get multiple sponsors to sponsor and you bring in more than that, your team, what did they win? They won a 30-pack of beer, sunflower seeds for the whole season. I mean, just little things, like they get a 30-pack of beer every game. And it's cheap, like it's nasty, natty ice or something like that. I mean, they are not going out and, getting delicious beer. They are getting cheap 30 packs of beer for their team. Sure. So, and I'm not saying that that's what you guys do, but I mean, it is encouraged for those teams to go fundraise and then they have fun and they get a cute little trophy that they are the, top fundraising team of the year and they get those little perks.
Sure. And I guess this being the first year, that wasn't something we thought about having it for you, but that's definitely an avenue to take. Because one of the things we got pushback on was when we did up the price specifically on volleyball, which is still $150 less than basketball. So yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So Derek,
That's the thing. You want to play, you have to pay.
So Derek, on your board then and in your organization, are there people who participate in these programs as active members? What I'm kind of getting at here, see, I guess I envisioned the soccer parents, the board, they got together and they said, okay, we got to run the program. The city has, donated these things maybe one time and so on and so forth. And so the people in the programs, at least representatives from their teams and stuff, should get together and say, here's the deal, here's the budget. We need to figure out to raise more money or to make cuts. But people who are involved with it through their team sponsors, et cetera, their input could be very clarifying. And then you can do that with adult programs. As the city, I would be more inclined to provide infrastructure help to youth programs. What does that mean? That means tennis nets and just stuff like that. We don't do it really for baseball or anything. We don't fix their fences or do anything. They pay for their water. So some of that is ground that's always been there though. I mean, we've paid for the summer programs at Lloyd Square Park for kids in the past. But what I'm saying is adults, you got to figure it out. However you do, and not that anybody ever wants to get any ideas from me, but yeah, help them out however they can. But with the kids, I'd be more inclined to say, okay, let's see what we can do for them. But we got to be fair to everybody in the community in terms of kid programs and stuff. A lot of them are on their own.
Well, they all are except this.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
and
saying. I
so-
mean, I think of all the kids in dance. My granddaughters were in dance, and yes, you
Yeah.
pay the money and you get the costumes and when you sign up for it, you know that. So that's what I'm wondering, if up front we shouldn't, or I guess it's not us, but up front there should be clear direction that you're either going to have to be a scorekeeper or you're going to have to be a ref, or, like people who have to work the concession stand, and that we're going to have to charge the amount of money that it takes to run the program. We can't continue
Exactly.
to let people sign up for a program for $25 when it's costing you $55. You can't keep running a loss like that.
You want
So-
the shirt things over, you go, okay, here's what the
Mhm.
championship shirts cost. There's the
Right.
business.
Yep, you can go order them.
Go get them.
Yeah.
On your own and stuff. I mean, it's a small amount, but you do that for each season. It's like, why are they, people, as a taxpayer, I'm always like, why are they paying for the t-shirts? If the program is funding itself, that's one thing. Now, when you add in the costs of facilities and stuff, that's going to make it even more difficult. And that's kind of another hurdle to be dealt with there too. But I don't know. Do you have anything else you want to ask us, or Dara? Or? Okay. Mayor, so this would, you want the council to, are we just gonna take this as a FYI? I mean, do you want their input? No, I mean, there's no action, but I mean, did you want the other members to have something to say? Otherwise, it'll just be an FYI item.
Yeah,
I mean, this information can be put into the packet in
okay.
the council meeting, and they can look at it, stuff just as we did.
See if there's any other input on it.
Yeah, we dealt with a recreation issue. I hate to even mention it, like about a month ago, in terms of some damages, and we didn't have money for more there that was being asked. So it's not like this will be the first group we've kind of
Well, we were
not open
paying
the
for
checkbook for.
damages there.
right.
I mean,
right.
legitimate visible damage, and we paid, a little over a third of what they requested. So,
My point is, when I asked earlier, did we make a commitment to get everything in the red and the black 6-8 months ago when
no,
things started collapsing on us
no,
in terms of the recreation program? And it didn't just start then, obviously the financial problems reared their ugly head in that sense, but okay. Anybody have anything else then? All right. Curb and sidewalk program. I would think